Hello, good evening. Welcome to Talkin Kop. It's me, Chris Brack. I'm here with Kev and I'm here with Ashley. It's finished. Liverpool won, Sunderland won. Liverpool finally get points from a losing position in a pretty drab game, to be honest. But we move on. I suppose it's 2 games undefeated. I suppose there's a positive for you. Ashley, how did you find that?
Look, I don't think that was a great game, but I think it was a better game than where we were 3 weeks ago. So it's one of those things where, what are you comparing yourself to? Are you comparing yourself to the Liverpool of last season? If that's the case, that wasn't a great game. If you're comparing yourself to the Liverpool of 3 weeks ago, which were garbage, then this was a step in a tiny step in the right direction. And it's really frustrating because I know as fans we're looking at this and we are just kind of pissed off in general. And we think that, this team should be able to beat Sunderland, and they absolutely should be able to beat Sunderland. But they're not a pushover team. They drew with Arsenal. They defeated Chelsea. They're very well organized. And I think, honestly, the team of 3 weeks ago would have lost that game 2 or 3-0. I think the fact that we were able to get a little bit of defensive solidity and a little bit of mental oomph would be too much of a word, but just a little bit of bounce back to be able to actually get a point from a losing position. That's progress, even if it doesn't feel like progress to a team that has been so good recently, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean. Obviously, we're a bit late because we're having a bit of a debate about the game in general.
Right.
Kev and I. Kev, you talk through the game. Obviously, I mean, I'm pretty fed up and frustrated, but it's literally 2 minutes after the game, so it's possibly a bit emotive. But how did you find that?
Points probably a fair result. On the strength of the 98 minutes, I don't think anyone's really going to argue it. I think Davey T puts the first comment in there tonight. Evening Copites, pains me to say it, but the Mackhams are full value for that point, coming from a Newcastle fan. And he's right. They were full value for the point, but that was probably what they deserved out of the game. I think we definitely deserved a point out of it. Had enough shots, not enough on target. Still, the final pass wasn't right. Service into Isak was poor again. Defensively, we were better in the main. I think we limited them to shots outside the box in the main. Alisson had a couple of saves to make, but saves you'd expect him to make. Couldn't really do much about the goal from an Alisson point of view. Virgil was poor for it, piss poor for it. Then we got to look at the rub of the green going the other way with our goal from a deflection as well. So, look, they're ahead of us in the league on current form this season. They're a couple of points better off than where we are. And credit where it's due for a promoted side to come up, play the way they're playing, and have a basic plan of how to take on sides who have better talent available to them. They've structured a way of playing that's really effective. And yeah, you can see that why they've been a handful for the vast majority of sides they've played against this season. When you're not on it, you just take your points. Whether it comes in 1s or 3s, you got to try and take something out of the games. It's frustrating, I get it, but at the end of the day, could be worse, could be Chelsea. They lost tonight against the side in the relegation zone. It just goes to show this midweek block of fixtures, there's 2 of them in the season, and they almost invariably throw up really crazy games, crazy results. So a point out of it, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, Ash, I mean, I think if we'd had this early in the season and some of these losses where Chelsea, the likes of your Chelseas, your Crystal Palace games, even Man United, where you go, if you just saw them out for a draw and this draw, it would be a disappointment. We're going, yeah, but at least we make sure you go home with something, which we have done tonight. But I think because we've dropped so many points already this season, I don't know, in my head, I'm like, you can't keep dropping points. At some point, you've got to just find a way. I mean, look, let's go through the team. Only one change. Kirkus out, Robertson in, which sort of made sense because Kirkus went off with a cramp, so the manager didn't want to risk him from the start. Other than that, it was pretty much a side that beat Ham, so I just wanted to not change a side that won last week. But first half, I think Sunderland got off the start as well. First 10 minutes, didn't really create like an out and out chance, but pressed it quite well. But like Kev said, they were limited to shot distance. The one they had was from Hume, which they did expect Alisson to make. Liverpool had 3 decent opportunities. From McAllister and Wirtz will be disappointed with the outcomes of theirs, especially McAllister, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of looked at those lineups and thought, that's okay. I'm okay with that. Build on what you had from West Ham. I thought it was a bold choice to bench Salah, but I think all of us kind of agreed that, what we saw from Wirtz, especially in that West Ham game, was encouraging. And having that sort of build up with the 3 midfielders behind him, with Szoboszlai kind of coming from that right wing into the midfield to help support him, I thought that worked well. So when I saw Robertson come in for Kirkes and that was the only change, I was okay with that. I wasn't angry. I wasn't screaming for Mo Salah to be on the field, which I guess is telling in and of itself. I mean, the thing with Sunderland is that they're such kind of a quirky team. They're sort of like the Sheffield United that came up a couple years ago, where they play in such a way that it's. I'm not saying that that's an excuse. That's not why we were poor, but they play in such a way that what worked against West Ham might not have worked against Sunderland, and there are reasons for that. And I think what we saw was a really compact, really organized team in Sunderland, and that's why they are where they are. Do I expect our players to be able to break down a side like that? Absolutely, I do. I think that we have enough quality on that pitch. We've spent enough money on our squad to be able to combat that. But I just can't get away from the fact that we have to look at this with a little bit of perspective about where the team is. Like, the team is shot for confidence. They are absolutely garbage. Like, that's just where they are. Like, I think that everyone in the chat can agree with that. So, like I said, if you're comparing this to the Liverpool of last year playing against a promoted side, this is not good enough. It's not a good enough result. But if you compare this to the Liverpool that exists right now, whether we like it or not as fans, like, at least they responded to going down, and at least they showed a little bit of fight, and at least they showed a little bit of defensive solidity. Not a lot. They're not perfect. Virgil van Dijk still made a fool of himself. Virgil should have stepped into that challenge. He shouldn't have made that shit pass. Like, there are certain things that definitely need to be improved on. But that being said, I still think this is an improvement from where we were. Like, and I know that that's not what people want to say. People want to hear slot out. This is garbage. Fuck them all. We need new players. Like, we're just not in a situation where that's something that we can do. I don't know if Slot's going to be in the job in a week or in 3 days. I have no idea. My guess is probably. At least it's not going backwards, if that makes sense.
That's a new one. I love that. Getting Claudio Ranieri vibes from Arne Slot.
I have seen that.
Yeah, no.
A lot of people talk about, like, massive drop-offs from winning titles, and is it just a one-hit wonder kind of thing? I've seen it.
It's still not the drop-off Chelsea had, but it's a drop-off 100%. It's almost as if the side who won the title last year doesn't exist anymore. Who fucking knew that?
I mean, it kind of doesn't.
Of course it doesn't.
Think about all the players that you let go. Think about all the play. Like, think of the churn. Like, it's not the same team. And we're so used to being really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, all of us, we're spoiled. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, it's really enjoyable to watch Liverpool. That's part of why we're fans. But at this point in time, we are not that team. We're not Klopp's team that was fantastic. We're not Slot's team last year that was fantastic. We're not press monsters. We're not heavy metal football. That's not who we are. Nope. We have to kind of start from the beginning and build it back up again. And that's what all the players are saying. And it's really fucking frustrating. Like, I hate it. I hate it watching it. It's frustrating as a fan. But, like, logically, that's where we are. And if someone can kind of convince me otherwise, you're welcome to try. But for me, that's where we are. We're starting from the bottom and we're building ourselves back up. That looked like a really even match because we're right next to each other on the table, and that's what we look like. We are playing like a 6th to 8th place team. That's where we are.
Yeah, and it's fair. Well, no, it's fair. It's the fucking truth. At the end of the day, it's the truth.
I mean, it is mediocrity, and there are people in the chat saying, I don't accept mediocrity. I understand. I don't want to accept it either. It's just, but that's where we are.
There's what you're prepared to accept from the comfort of your front room, and then there's the reality of what you're seeing on the pitch. The reality of what you're seeing on the pitch is this is a side that's struggling to find form. Now, you can say that we spent X, Y, and Z, and they're machines, and they should automatically turn up, and it should always click, and they should just keep going and going. That starting lineup, I was surprised Vert started. Really surprised. Despite the performance he had against West Ham. Hadn't really trained in 2.5 weeks, had one training session, played high intensity against West Ham, ran his nuts off. So ran over 7 miles in that West Ham game.
Yeah, I think it was like 11.5 kilometers.
Exactly. Recovery day Monday, train Tuesday, goes again Wednesday. That one surprised me. Isak as well, still coming back. Ekitike has done nothing wrong. That's what I said when me and Gav were chatting last night. I expected Ekitike to start. Wasn't surprised with Robertson. Kirkus had played back-to-back. So Robertson getting a midweek one wasn't really a surprise. And they're probably the two players you'd look at and say, okay, you're 50-50. It's not a real drop-off either way, which one you're going to go with. And Joe Gomez, to be fair to him, a couple of weeks ago was getting injections in his knee to train. Puts in a really good 90 against West Ham, and then comes on and plays, 70 minutes tonight? And was decent.
Yeah. It was decent. I mean,
it was defensively really solid.
I think they have to save him for this weekend. He can't play 90 minutes. He doesn't have it in his legs. And we don't know, is Bradley going to be ready to come on this weekend or not? He's a maybe.
Yeah. I would pay good money. I would pay good money to see.
I mean, do you want to be a reality TV show or a football team?
I was going to say,
that's the question that you're asking.
No, but you know what I mean. I think that's.
Jamie Carragher could talk a good game. He was a good player, but coaching wise, some of his coaching stuff he talks about is
nonsense.
I mean, it is nonsense.
It was frustrating me in the first half, and I was seeing a lot of it online with what was Cody Gakpo doing standing back next to Andy Robertson. Well, if you don't know why he was doing that, then you don't. If you're Jamie Carragher and you're asking why is he doing that, you don't know the fucking game. Nordi Mukiele was playing as the left centre-back in a 3, off the ball. On the ball, he was attacking as a right wing-back, pressing high, because their goalkeeper had no intention whatsoever of playing a short ball out to that side of the pitch. They were trying to get a 2v1 against Robertson, hoping that Gakpo wouldn't do the dirty work and track back. Gakpo tracked Nordi Mukiele all the way every single time, and it fucked him. Because it looked all kinds of wrong. There were times in that first half where Liverpool looked like they were playing in a back 5. But they were playing in a back 5 because of the way the Sunderland set up tactically. And it was in response to what Sunderland were doing. And it was the right thing to do. Because they got nothing out of it. That was their main way of attacking, looking to create the overload on Andy Robertson's side, to put crosses in from that side, because they had height and power from the opposite flank coming in. And, Gakpo's final pass is usual stuff when he's in an attacking sense. Tonight was off. But you can't fault his work rate in doing the ugly shit going the other way.
He seems to be the new Jones.
There's always something.
I don't think there's anything that we can do.
Yeah, I see it there. Look, Gakpo was so shy.
Anyone that he was good today.
But
he does seem to be the new whipping boy.
Yeah. There has to be someone. And there's plenty of them. But at the end of the day, he was asked to do a job. He'd done the job. In an attacking sense, he was poor, but you can't fault his work rate going the other way.
I think he kind of reminds me a little bit, and I don't think this is what Slot's trying to do, but like when Luis Diaz was moved from the left wing kind of into a central position, the first, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 games that he was there, everyone was like, what is he doing? He's completely useless. Like, we're negating his skills, all of these things. And I do wonder if Slot is trying to use him for off the ball work in a way that we can't quite see yet because it hasn't clicked. the issue with my biggest issue with Gakpo is that he occupies the same space that Isak wants to occupy. Yeah. And I think what ends up happening is you're like, well, I want Isak to be there. Why the fuck is Gakpo there? He's taking up space. He's in the way. He's doing this. And when he has like 300 shots that look exactly the same and they all kind of go over the bar and they're just predictable, when none of those shots go in.
Yeah.
Like, of course, as fans, we're like, just do something different. Like, stop with this predictable shit. It's like he's a one-trick pony. That's what he looks like right now.
Yeah.
But I do want to caveat it by saying I honestly think that he's trying to do things off the ball. And we as fans, sometimes we're not even looking at Gakpo because the camera's panning in a different direction. And I think he might be doing other things. The people that are at the game could say differently. I'm not sure. But that being said, today he was off the boil. Like, he gave the ball away numerous times. I'm sure it's probably more than the 20 times that he gave the ball away last game. I will check that for Emmett because I know that that's something that he cares about. But he feels like a player in transition where Slot's trying to turn him into something else. Because I honestly think that between Wirtz and Isak, that space is going to be occupied by other players that are better than Gakpo. And I think that Gakpo is either going to be a bench player or he's going to have to play a different role.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. So let's go through the Liverpool chances. I think the three main ones was, there was one for Isak where he cut inside and bullied it over. I think Wirtz is unlucky with his chance where he tries to dribble through. It's a bit like the Luis Suarez thing, wasn't it, Kev, where it sort of bounced off people's legs. And I'm not quite sure we didn't get a corner for it because I thought he just done a lot. I think
it bounced back off his leg.
Oh, did it? I couldn't see if it was there.
It was messy, but
it could have gone anyone.
It was untidy. Yeah,
it was one of those ones where it could have gone in off that ricochet.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the best chance was probably McAllister's header.
He should get that on target, really.
Yeah, he grazed the outside of the post. Szoboszlai had a good effort. There was saved.
Quite a few long range shots from Szoboszlai. There was one in particular. Well, some of them were just speculative. Yeah. Then there were others that he had that knuckleball shot that actually troubled the keeper. And I was a little bit confused between McAllister and Szoboszlai. There was a lot of long range efforts, a lot of speculative efforts where there were players in front of them that they chose not to pass to. And yes, in that situation where Szoboszlai was able to knuckle the ball and actually work their keeper, that's great. But I think there were at least 3 or 4 other times where it just felt like they were so far out, so far out that it would have taken an absolute worldie to beat him. And that just felt a little bit either wasteful or desperate. I don't know which one it was.
I think that's been my frustration with the attack today. The attack I'm more frustrated with today than anything else is there was too many smacks of me of desperation with those sort of shots where you're sort of going like, I know the recycling thing and it was probably a bit too slow to really move Sunderland around, but speculative shots from distance.
That's a way of moving them as well, mate.
Yeah, but
but statistically, so they had 23 shots today.
Yeah.
Worth 1.3 XG. So that's 0.06 XG per shot, which for anyone that's out in the world that enjoys that, that's for you. But basically it means that we had the lowest XG per shot in a Premier League game since 2022 versus Southampton. So our shots were so low value that it's literally breaking records.
Yeah.
They're too speculative.
So you can tell the difference between tonight and the West Ham game by the amount of space Florian Wirtz was able to find between the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight there was virtually nothing. When he drifted centrally, Granit Xhaka picked him up, man marked it, and they condensed the space. So anything that was central, and especially in the first half, there was very little space in between the lines. The only time he really started to find joy was when he drifted out onto the wings. And from there, he's pretty ineffective because there was only really Isak to hit in the box because Szoboszlai was generally on the outside. There was no second runners. So if a cross did come in, it had to be pinpoint perfect. And in fairness to Sunderland, they had 3 centre-backs. Ballard is a unit. And, it needs to be absolute perfection to be able to get anything on it. The one that McAllister got his header from was more a case of a counter press situation, that the ball came in and he just happened to be on the near post. He was probably a little bit, you know what I mean, he was outside the line of the post. So for him to even get it on target would have been a hell of an effort. It was kind of like their effort from a corner in the second half. Do you remember when their centre back got a run on Salah and he nodded it back, but Alisson was standing on the post. So when you're that far outside of the line of the post, you've got to be really, really accurate to get that on target. I think, look, overall in the whole game, the best chance for both sides was probably at the death right at the end for them. You know, it was a game of very little chances for both sides. Yeah, we dominated the ball, slow and ponderous with it, but I think we were very worried about taking adverse risks, especially when it was 1-1, because we almost got caught with our pants down.
Yeah, we did.
And it's like
we'll get to that for sure.
Yeah, it's like you've got a point. You've worked your way back into a position where you've got the point. You try to win it, but we almost did what we did against
At
Chelsea.
PSV.
And yeah, we almost, in trying to win it, we almost contrived a way of losing it.
Which is kind of why I'm like, it's progress, even though I say progress should feel really positive, and this doesn't.
Progress with a small p.
Yeah, like I say progress, and I don't want people to think, wow, we're getting better. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But compared to where we were versus PSV, like, we had this conversation together where we were like, you know what? I mean, granted, that was a less need to win game than this was, but we had the conversation of you have what you hold, and it would show a level of maturity and a level of kind of direction of travel if they were able to at least shut up shop and think of a point as a good result. And I sound like a relegation team saying that, and I hate that. I hate that in the sense that, like, I know that the chat's just like, this was fucking awful. I understand. We all agree with you. It was fucking awful. But I would much rather hold that point than have to come on here and talk about that goal going in if Chiesa hadn't been there. Or if we kept going for it and Slot decided, you know what, we're going to pull and put Rio on there, and we're going to put a couple of other forwards on there and leave ourselves open and then get defeated by Sunderland. If we had lost to a newly promoted team, this would feel so much worse. So much worse. That's right. I mean, and Madge makes a really good point. They exist to frustrate. It was hardly a surprising result. Like, Arsenal drew to them. Chelsea lost to them. It's not what anyone wants to hear, though. It's not what anyone wants to hear. Everyone wants to say this was fucking awful. Everyone wants me to throw a chair across the room. Unfortunately, I only have the chair that I'm sitting on, so that's not going to happen. But, like, we're not a title-winning side. We're not going for a title win. Like, that's just not where we are. Suddenly, we have to accept that. We have to accept that, and it just sucks.
Well, it's almost look. The West Ham. How many times did we say it during the post-match the other night? It's West Ham. They really were bad.
At least that didn't go completely to waste.
No,
at
exactly.
least that tiny step didn't go to waste.
But we said it with the caveat that, yeah, it was a comfortable 2-0 win. Where
Sunderland are a much better team.
Well, this is what I'm saying. At 1-0, Bowen had a really good chance to get a draw out of it for West Ham.
Yeah,
and he should have scored. We went and got the second one late on, and you can relax and breathe. Tonight, we came from behind to get a point. Not good. It's not ideal. Far from. You know, it's not what we've come to expect over the last.
I don't want to accept it. That's not where we're at. But it's
the reality of where we are. If you're rebuilding a way of playing with a new, essentially, largely a new key players, because you have new key players in key positions in a 10 and a striker, two strikers, which are going to end up being your main goal threat for the next few years. It all starts somewhere. And sometimes you get really lucky and they hit the ground running and it's fantastic. Most of the time, they take time to bed in.
It's pretty rare, isn't it? They all hit the ground running.
Almost unheard of.
It would be nice if at least like 2 of them did. You know, I could say maybe Ekatike.
I think Ekatike started well. I think
he's done all right.
He's got off the boil. He has got off the boil probably the last 3 or 4 games.
It's one of those things, though. Like the money does change your perspective. Like
when
you're spending, I know, but when you're spending that much, when you're breaking records for a striker, you know, when you're breaking records for a playmaker, like you expect them to playmake and to score.
I get that, but it really shouldn't cloud your judgment on players. The market has moved in this direction.
That's true.
Those record figures for Isak and Wirtz won't stay records for long. We saw it with Caicedo. Look at Caicedo in his first year and look at Caicedo this season.
I would say the same thing about Enzo.
Not in day. You look at Enzo's another one. Declan Rice, first season compared to second season. The vast majority of signings at any level, but especially at top-end transfer fee levels. You can look at Kylian Mbappe. Look, Kylian Mbappe in his first season at Madrid, it was just not there. You look at him now, this season, he's playing. You know, so it's like, unless he plays against Liverpool, then, you know, he's doing really well for himself. He's having a lovely time of it.
There's a question here that kind of goes off this, Kev.
That's okay.
Genuine question from Oz Copite.
All right.
When do you think it's acceptable for us to still be in transition? How long is it okay that we can't beat Sunderland at home?
Why do you think you're entitled to beat Sunderland? Oz, straight up, they're ahead of you on the table on merit. Everyone says with the Premier League table, you look at it after 10 games. Well, after 10 games, they're well ahead of us. We've clawed it back a bit, but they're still ahead of us. What makes you think you're entitled to beat Sunderland? Sunderland are playing well. You're not entitled to anything.
Especially in our current form.
Not in our current form. It's exactly that. On our current form, we're not entitled to beat Sunderland. You give it a good go. And I think they gave it a good go. You know, they got a goal off a deflection. We got a goal off a deflection. They were unlucky when we were throwing the kitchen sink at it that they didn't pull our pants down. But ultimately, it was an even side. It was an even game by two sides, separated by a couple of points after 13 games. You know, so you see these games. This is the reality of where we are at the moment. It's not the reality of where it's acceptable after 38 games. If after 38 games we're sat in 8th position out of Europe, then, you know,
Slot won't keep his job. Slot won't keep his job if we are in 8th place at the end of this season. End of story. Like his job is not secure right now. Us talking about it in this kind of, we're just chatting, but Slot's job's not secure. None of us are like, he's back after that West Ham game. Absolutely not.
He was
absolutely not. He's probably on the thinnest ice he's ever been on.
I think he was fighting for his job before the West Ham game. He was fighting for it after. He's fighting for it now. He's
absolutely fighting for it now.
And I think, look,
I think the Forest of PSV games really ramped up the pressure. I mean, it was pretty high anyway.
Hugely so.
But look, I mean, people had a go at Klopp for this phrase, and they said it was, not acceptable. But Klopp said many times the minimum requirement is to get in the Champions League. That was he said that pretty much once he got Liverpool back in the Champions League. He said that has to be the minimum requirement, and he only fell short of it. I think after that once, and openly said that's what it is. Slot will have been told that. Slot will have been told straight away.
Exactly 100%. It is frustrating as fuck.
Yeah.
Imagine coming on here 38 times, plus Champions League games, plus Cup games, and don't for a second think that we're not frustrated.
That's why we had to delay coming on.
That's why we had to delay coming on, because me and Chris were tearing strips off each other.
Because we're both frustrated.
Exactly.
With how this is, isn't it? You're trying to be a bit of a cooler head before you come on.
Yeah, don't for a second think that we're accepting or happy or pleased or anything to do with this. We're not. But the reality of the situation is you've got a side that's out of form with players who are out of form. I thought Mo Salah come on in the second half and he was the same as what he was pretty much most of the season. He was ineffective. And they tried to feed him the ball. They tried to get him involved. He tried, but He
I think
just
the one,
it just
I think the
wouldn't
one
work.
thing I think one thing he did, which now Cole didn't do this, but he wasn't asked to do this. To be fair, so just to caveat that is, at least because Mo was asked to keep width a bit more. It was allowing Soberslai or a Gomez to cut in as a third runner to try and overload them. It didn't, the final ball and the interplay work, but tactically you can see why they brought it because Mo would be better than Gakpo at stretching.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't, but it didn't quite come off.
It got better, I think, when Jones came on because
Jones was probably the most effective of all the subs.
He is because look, even from right back, he was asked to do a job when we went 4-4-2 when Ekitike came on and they played with Isaac up front. He was off the ball. He was a right back, but he was tucking into midfield a lot and trying to create the extra numbers that way. And he is a good footballer, irrespective of what people may think of him. He's usually pretty good with the ball at his feet. And his decision making is generally pretty good, especially even on that right hand side. It's not his preferred position by any stretch, but I think you're not doing Joe Gomez any favors by bringing Salah on and telling Joe to invert into centre mid position off the ball because he doesn't move the ball quickly. He doesn't naturally pick up attacking positions.
He's also not a goal
inside.
Threat.
He's not.
Whereas we know Jones is a goal threat.
But
you do run the risk of he's not going to be as good defensively as Gomez. But
if you're going to make that change at halftime, you'd have been as well off making the Curtis Jones one at halftime as well. And no disrespect to what Joe can do, because the only reason you're bringing Curtis Jones on for Joe Gomez in that situation is because you need an offensive threat. It's not.
I thought it was just for fitness. I honestly, if Joe could have made 90 minutes, I actually think that he would have kept Joe on.
Yeah, it's just I think if you're bringing Curtis on at that point, it's because you need an offense. You need more from an offensive threat from your right back.
Yeah, I think
defensively, I thought Joe Gomez was fine today.
I actually think Jones is very unlucky not to be starting games.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's because we haven't got any right backs because they're both injured. I think that's part of the reason he's been held back, because to me he should be starting ahead of McAllister on current form. McAllister's, again, apart from his header, pretty
ineffective. It comes back to Slot's stubbornness with certain players.
And this is the thing, Kev said it 2 weeks ago, stubbornness has sacked and cost many a manager's job. He's already done the one stubborn thing, which is he took Salah out the lineup for two games. There is an argument McAllister should have been took out the limelight for a few games. He hasn't played well. He's trying to play probably too many players into full. Let's be honest.
He has too many players to play into form in general because they're coming back from injury and things like that. And I mean, even I don't know. I mean, even the right back thing. Like,
Real Talk makes the point there. Bradley back at the weekend. Look, he's back training. He should be back. He's trained. They have a warm down day tomorrow.
He might.
He'll probably be training tomorrow. He might. I wouldn't be surprised if he'll look to try to get an hour out of him. I wouldn't be surprised if he looks to get an hour out of him. But at the same time, I haven't seen. Obviously, Chelsea and Leeds were playing at the same time to us. All I know is from the Leeds game tonight is their lineup and the way they set up was a 5-3-2, and it was a move away from what they have been doing all season, where they played 5 at the back, they played Ampadu in the middle of the park with basically 2 box-to-box centre mids who can defend and attack, 2 up front, and it depends on what Slot expects Leeds to do against us, which will probably be more of the same. They'll probably try to play the same way again because it's been successful at Chelsea. Maybe he'll look at Joe Gomez and say, look, I can defensively use you for an hour and then see where Conor Bradley is. But look,
I'd expect 30 minutes, probably no more from Bradley, would be my guess.
You've got to be careful with
60 minutes for Joe, 30 minutes for Bradley if he trains well. Because I don't even know what his injury was specifically. I don't actually think that's been disclosed.
No.
We know that Frimpong's is a hamstring injury, but Bradley at this point, I think is fair to say, is injury prone. At this age, he's injury prone. I don't know if he's going to be like that 3 years from now, but at this age, he's injury prone. And it was something that we all kind of knew was a risk going into the season. I think it's proven to be a gamble too much as it has been in other areas of the pitch. And I don't know. I mean, we talk about these right back positions and we forget that last year we had an entire team, and we had an entire team from Klopp that was built around Trent Alexander-Arnold. The whole entire structure of our team was built around him. And the idea that we're chopping and changing these right backs constantly, whether it's Jones, Szoboszlai, whether it's Bradley, whether it's Frimpong, like, I don't know. I don't know if it's been discussed enough, like how much.
I do feel Slot tried to
an imbalance.
I do feel Slot last year tried to not plan away from Trent, but he definitely didn't get Trent inverted as much and doing all the stuff that Jurgen Klopp let him do. He did try and make Trent play more as a natural right back, but with the ability Trent has, even if he plays as a natural right back, he can still do a switch 75 yards to the opposite wing, which most right backs can't do. And you go, well, okay, that. So I think he tried to get a structure in place, but
I think he tried, but I still think that it was so ingrained with Klopp. Like, I mean, Klopp changed the whole structure of the team around Trent, and everything kind of revolved around him. And I don't know. I mean, it's just another kind of point of, like, you know, another transition point where it's like, we're not the title winning team. We are missing these players. And I mean, go back to when we started being shit, whether we like it or not, with a player that decided to leave us. Go back to when we started being shit. It's when Trent Alexander-Arnold got injured, and we haven't recovered since then.
Yeah. So let's talk about the two goals then. For their goal, look, it's a good hit. It's a good hit from distance. It's a sloppy giveaway.
Sloppy giveaway. It was atrocious.
Call as we see it. Van Dijk's got to do more there to close him down. He just stood off him.
He has to do more from the beginning. That was an awful pass. Pass into the danger zone. It's exactly what we have done over and over and over. Slot has said it millions of times. We give the opponents gifts. He gifted that ball into the center of midfield where there was nobody.
And to call a spade, since he did his outburst against Forest,
he's done shit. He's
PSV and here today. The first goal has come down to the captain not doing the basics. If we're being perfectly honest, they're not difficult things he has to do. And the frustration is at 1-1 and 1-0, he's doing all the things you want your centre back to do, but in the crucial moments, even Virgil van Dijk's not doing what he wants to do. And if I'm being perfectly honest, if his name was Ibu Konate, we know what the chat would have been like. It would have been all over the shop because of how poor he was. Because to be fair to Ibu, actually, I thought Ibu was fine tonight. I think he actually dealt with Broby pretty well and saw him off. And Broby's, you know, he caused Saliba and Gabriel a lot of issues because he's a good player. So I actually thought Konate probably bailed Virgil out a little bit today because I thought Virgil was poor.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know who he saw that he was playing that pass to in the first place, but it was a terrible
pass. I believe it was.
Yeah, but
Szoboszlai was there, but there was too much pressure, and it was a sloppy, lazy pass.
It was a poor pass. He goes into this crouch position, almost daring him to shoot. The problem
there's a meme going around about how he basically twerks to defend now.
Look, it's not now. He's always done this.
I know, but it is funny.
It's just one of those things. He's always done it. He makes himself...
He just backs off.
Yeah, he backs off, and he's like daring him to shoot. He shoots. It gets a deflection. The deflection takes it away from Alisson. Ali can do nothing with it. It's like... It is literally when it happens, and you see it happen, and you see how slow the ball travels. You're like, it definitely took a deflection. You're like, oh, fuck.
I mean, there was nothing Alisson could do, unfortunately.
Look, he should have come out to press, but I didn't see... when I saw it, I just turned away and almost disgusted. I was like, oh, fuck. I didn't watch the replay, but I don't know if there was another Sunderland player that if Virgil comes out, is there a player there that he can play a quick 1-2 around and he's straight in? Maybe that's why he backed off.
I think Virgil's pretty much one-on-one, and I think Virgil could engage.
If he could engage, then he should.
I think he could engage, and I think that he has gotten into the habit of, like I said, doing that kind of shuffle back step, which people want to make a meme out of it or whatever. But he doesn't like to go into a tackle. Yeah. He doesn't like to go to ground, and I mean, opposition opponents will say that his aura is gone, and maybe in years past, a Virgil van Dijk could have gotten away with not making that tackle. And I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe. I'm just throwing it out there.
Anthony makes a point here. He's aging like milk. Look, he's aging like milk in a fucking summer's day.
Not. Like, he's fine. He's fine. I'm just saying that I think that a Virgil van Dijk of years gone by could have gotten away with aura defending. And I think at this point, like, he might have to adjust the way that he's defending. We're leaving him exposed no matter what, but I want to see Virgil van Dijk go in, and whether that player gets past him or not, I want to see him engage with that player. I don't want to see him continue to back off. He gave him way too much space. Yeah. He like that shot shouldn't have been allowed to get off.
I think when they went 1-up, they had a spell of about 5 minutes where they worked a couple of corners.
I think they knew that our heads were going to drop then.
It was.
I think that they were like, this is the time to pounce.
Yeah, and it was because up until they got their goal, they'd done nothing in the second half. We pretty much, the first 10 minutes of the second half, we pinned them in their final third, pushed them back, and done what we did. We moved the ball from side to side. We couldn't find penetrating passes. We had a few shots, worked some corners.
So we had the no shot, didn't we? That was that later on? The one looked like it was goal bound.
That was the one from a corner, wasn't it?
It was really good by. It was Bollard. It was a really
good block. It was a really good block because it was on target 100%. But yeah, look, I mean, they got the 1-0. They had a 5-minute spell, and from then on, you could tell with the substitutions that they made. They brought on Gertruda, and they went 5-4-1.
And then they brought on Luke O'Neill, who's a DM who's been converted to a centre back.
Yeah.
Since the League 2 days.
Yeah,
League 1 day. Sorry, he's got up all the leagues with them. Which,
yeah, and fair play to him. Fair play to him. He's a good story. Yeah, he's a good story.
So look, I'll be honest. I put it in our WhatsApp group.
Yeah,
you said we won't come back, right?
I can't see anything back from this.
Yeah. Watching this team today, again, tiny shift. I was like, we're doing enough that maybe, not definitely, maybe.
Let's talk about the goal, because it is a big moment for Wirtz. I know it's gone down as an own goal, but it's a Suarez-esque little shimmy. Gets his shot off. Look, he gets a deflection. He gets a bit of luck. The lads had no luck in front of the goal anyway. So, that was his moment. And I think the biggest frustration is, which we did see at the beginning of the season, and I know we're in a different headspace there, is you can't have one more big chance. Surely, 7 minutes to go, one more big chance. And to be honest, the one more big chance, you've got to be fair, came to them. But let's talk about Wirtz's moments, at least give him some...
I thought Curtis Jones was brilliant for it.
So was Szoboszlai.
Yeah, well, the balls, it all started...
came from Szoboszlai, right?
No, it all started with Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones played an incisive pass into Szoboszlai, and it was a defense-splitting pass. Then it kind of worked its way around. Curtis Jones ended up winning it back high up, played in Wirtz, and then he shimmied his way across. And you see him do this when in the box when he's with Leipzig, where he dribbles in the box, almost daring someone to come and tackle him because it's a penalty straight away. His feet are so quick. He maneuvers himself into a position just to get a shot off. It was off target, and it's going to go down as an own goal. And it took a huge deflection and went in. The keeper had no chance.
He deserves that bit of luck.
He deserves a bit of luck because there's been times earlier in this season where he's had absolutely no luck.
Yeah.
And at times he looked like the pariah in the team where people wouldn't pass to him when he was in a gilt-edged chance to fucking score.
Yeah.
And tonight I thought it wasn't his best game, but he tried to find space where there really wasn't none. And he didn't give the ball away very often. He rode his luck. He was unlucky in the first half, where he kind of created something out of nothing.
You feel like he's grown into it a bit more, and you feel like the more you get him on the ball, he's becoming more and more influential.
This is what I mean. This is kind of what really annoyed me about Salah coming on in the second half. And look, it's no disrespect to Mo Salah. Mo Salah is an absolute legend. When you talk about Mount Rushmore of Liverpool players. Mo Salah's on there. For me, Mo Salah's on there. But at the same time, we were trying to feed him the ball so much in the second half to the detriment of not
too many
getting
cooks
flow
in the kitchen. It's too many cooks in the kitchen.
It's exactly that.
Like you can either have the creativity come from Verts, or you can have it from Salah. The way that we are right now, we're not football intelligent enough to deal with both.
Or maybe if we're going to go to this 4-4-2, which we've been doing, then you could play Salah and Isak as a team.
I just don't think that they were purchased with the intent of Salah being on the pitch anyways.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
but they must have known. Well, you'd like to think they knew they were going to have Salah on the pitch for at least a year, maybe 2.
I think they expected Salah to have moments of brilliance that made him worthy to be on the pitch. And when you hear Slot talk, when you heard him talk at least the last couple months, he talked about how, yes, Mo Salah wouldn't be doing a lot tracking back. Yes, Mo Salah wouldn't be defending, but he would have moments of brilliance that would justify his role on the pitch. And what we have seen this year is that we have not had the moments of brilliance that justify his role on the pitch. So in the past, he's been defensively shit. He was defensively shit last year. He came out and said, you know, oh, I've asked to not defend or not go back, and Slot has said,
but
fine.
to be honest, even
made sense at the time.
Even under Klopp, he never defended. Let's be fair.
I know,
That's his role. You know, it was kind of a trade off. But the problem is he's not doing the other bit. That's the problem.
But last year he was in. I mean, let's not forget he was in Ballon d'Or form last year. Like his goals and assists, absolute Ballon d'Or form. But we're talking, you know, I guess it's more like 8 months ago because the second half of the season he wasn't great. But that was worthy of being on the pitch. You can sit and be a passenger if you're going to deliver. Salah has not done that, and I genuinely do believe, and according to, you know, all the sources that are talking about FSG and Edwards and Hughes and all these people, they purchase these players with the intention of moving the creativity away from Mo Salah, deciding that, okay, in the future, we are going to have a different fulcrum. And what we're seeing now is almost like the grinding of gears between an old system and a new system. And it's, you literally have the main gear of Salah and the main gear of Verts, and the gears aren't clicking. The teeth aren't matching up. And I don't know. When Slot came on, or when Slot came on, but when Salah came on today, I was like, I don't know if that's the right choice. I actually would have rather seen Chiesa come on for Gakpo, occupy that space, continue to let Verts be the guy.
Yeah.
Well, on the screen there, the Patreon link for the show description, the QR code is on the screen. There's a link in the description. If you sign up for a month and see if it's for you, see how you like it. Anybody who signs up before December 22nd will be in a draw to win Patreon membership for 6 months. Gav is doing his shows pretty much straight after this one tonight on Patreon with the extended highlights of his view of how he saw the game tonight. He'll be on there on Patreon not long after us, so keep an eye out for the bell icon if you're on there. Click on the link if it's something that interests you. It's the price of a pint a month. If you don't like it after a month, just cancel it. You know, at the end of the day, it's up to you. But it does help the channel out a lot, and it's the content that's on there is there's a lot more that you can do on there that you can't do on here. So
we're sorry that it's not more fun with the results. We can't control that part.
Can't control that bit.
But also it's, as we also know, Kev, because you and me are two grown men who are probably very disorganized. You can also get Patreon memberships as a Christmas gift. Anything from £4 or a full year is £48. Again, it helps the channel. It's a nice, easy, quick, cheap Christmas gift as well. Especially if you're like me and Kev, not very organised, and you forgot to get someone a gift. It's also handy for that as well. Right, let's
Can we
do
talk about the good moment with Chiesa?
Oh fuck yeah!
I really want to talk about the good moment because there's not a lot of good things happening.
Let's also give. I know some people in the chat are now going to lose their shit with me over it, but that's fine. Big credit to the Sunderland keeper who read a corner and just thought, "Fuck it, I'm going to get this through quick and see what happens." Alisson's done that to Salah in the years gone past, and look, everyone was up for the corner bar the keeper, so someone has to sit deep. It was Chiesa, and Fair fucks to Chiesa. He got back, showed his defensive nous, and made sure it wasn't 2-1. Fair play, because we've seen plenty of attackers, Kev, haven't we, over the years who go, fuck this. I can't be asked with that.
That was brilliant from Chiesa. I mean, look, we were throwing the kitchen sink at it, trying to do everything, create an Everton moment, create a Pickford moment, do something. And it was a brilliant bit of football all round from everybody, from the keeper to their striker, their forward. I can't remember his name. Isildur, I don't know, fucking watching fucking Lord of the Rings or something. But
Big castle,
Chiesa tracked him all the way back. Alisson went out, went to ground. He thought he'd done the hard bit to get around Alisson. And Alisson does his thing where he gets down on his knee, but he seems to have one more stride on him.
Yeah.
And he gets by him just enough. Probably enough. Alisson does enough for him not to be able to get a clean hit on it.
Yeah.
He pushes him that wide. But Chiesa read the situation that Alisson was going within. He dropped back onto the line.
But we've also seen plenty of defenders / attackers in that situation who would
give up,
or actually carry on following Isildur.
Yeah,
and also get in the keeper's way. And you see like Salah's done it before and others where they do the turn and you see the keeper and the defender go the other way. Got open net. He had the nous at the right time to go. Right, I'm going to get back on the line. I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave.
It was shades of James Milner versus Bournemouth. Like shades of it. I mean, like Milner's was better, but shades of that.
Yeah. So look, it's just Keys do what we wanted him to, which is fantastic. So Ash, you could go first because I think Kev went first last time. Man the match, honourable mention, who's shite. The rest are all shite. So.
I mean, my man of the match. I don't even care. He was on for. I think he's played 139 minutes of Premier League football. My man of the match is Chiesa because this whole conversation would be so much more just awful if that goal had gone in. Honestly, if that goal had gone in, we would not have gotten back. We would not have scored a goal. It would not have happened. And the tone of this conversation would have been very different. And I think actually Slot probably
me and Kev would look on the show.
I mean, it would have just been me talking because I'm pretty sure that Chris and Kev would have. I don't know.
I was heading to Runcorn. I was heading to Runcorn. Yeah, it was. We were having it out.
So for me, it's Chiesa for just kind of keeping the peace. Honorable mention. I actually think that Vert still deserves an honorable mention. Not because of the goal, but because I think that he's showing glimpses of what I think the future of Liverpool is going to look like. I think that he is going to be the playmaker. I think that Salah is going to take a back seat, and that's going to be really hard for him. But I do think that Wirtz is going to take a playmaker role, and I think that we saw glimpses in West Ham. The goal or own goal, I don't really give a shit if it was an own goal, but I genuinely think that he pulls strings and has the ability to solve problems that we have on the table right now. And then could do better. It could be a number of people. I still think that Ibu needs to be criticized more. And I am going to stick with Ibu for this because I thought that he was absolutely bullied. What are you laughing at?
Scouser Pete, go fuck yourself. Get out.
I can't read it. I'm dying.
Jesus Christ.
I'm dying.
Fucking Scouser Pete's getting fucking blocked. That's what's happening.
I mean, thanks, Pete. I appreciate the reference. Okay. Anyways, what was I saying? I was saying that Ibu, I think, got absolutely bullied by Robbie.
I thought he did right against him.
I thought it was awful.
I thought he kept Robbie
close to a red card like 4 times.
I thought he kept Robbie. So it makes different views. I thought we kept Robbie pretty quiet. As in,
I mean,
I think Robbie's that type of centre forward that I think he's going to give any centre back a turn.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's what, like a $29 million forward from. Was he from Bruges? I don't know where he's from.
Ajax, yeah. He scored against us in the COVID season.
He looked more effective than Isak, but I feel like we made him look more effective. And I feel like that was largely down to you. And I think that they targeted him. It was not his worst game. It wasn't his worst game. And I think I'm just tired of saying McAllister looks unfit because McAllister came out and said, I feel great this week.
You don't look it.
He doesn't look great. And I think that everyone's like, okay, it's McAllister. He's the problem. So toss a coin between the two of them.
Go on, Kev. Who are your three?
It's Chiesa. Chiesa's the obvious. Because look, in a game that's as tight as this, where you had two goals that were both deflected, it's moments, and that moment by Chiesa saved us. It won us a point, and that's just the only way you can look at it. It won us a point, and it's as important as the goal that that own goal that Wirtz had the shot for. Chiesa making that run and sticking by his job and doing the right thing and giving the keeper the time and the space and getting back onto the line. So just for that alone, fair play. Honourable mention for me, Curtis Jones. I thought when he came on, he was really good. His pressing and work rate to win the ball back high up to create the chance for flow to get into the box was really good. And I thought he was a constant outlet when he was on the ball as well. I mean, look, I didn't think that we were bad. I thought we were all right. I thought defensively we were much better. We limited them to very little, mainly shots from outside the box, bar that one at the very end, which is probably one of the few inside the box chances that they had. But in an attacking sense, we have to be better with our final pass. You're looking to see improvements. Who could do better? It's
I kind of want to revise my statement.
So I don't take it. You're going to take mine. So
it's the captain. It's Virgil.
Oh, that's fine. Thank you for revising. I should have called out Virgil. I'm sorry. I just forgot about him with the Lord of the Rings.
He has to do better. In the first instance, it's probably one of the things that you could label at him since day one when he arrived at the club is his decision making. He's always been very, very risk averse when in a defensive situation. If there's any doubt whatsoever, he will clear it. He will rosette it. He will clear it and reset. But the decision, whatever went through his mind to play that pass in the first place, in the way that he played it, was shocking. It was horrendous. He was his own worst enemy, and he compounded the mistake by not pressing the ball. At least if he presses the ball, he forces the forward who doesn't expect to win that ball right there to have to make a decision quickly, whether to play a 1-2 or to rush his shot or do something different. But by giving him that extra second to set himself to get the shot off, it was poor. Arne Slot as well. He's got he's definitely still fighting for his job.
Yeah, I'll do the quotes after we're done with this.
Look,
God, I've just
Chris,
read one of them.
Don't steal my thunder.
I've just read one of them.
We're going to be heading off in a few minutes, but
I'll do my three quick. Man of the match, I'll give it to Wirtz, only because it's not quite the goal, but I think it's a big moment for him. That's his first big moment. I agree with Jones as honourable mention. I thought he was really good. I thought he gives that bit of a spark. I think he actually livened us up, especially 1-0 down, and could do better. There's quite a few. Isak was, for me, pretty disappointed, but it has to be the captain. I think since PSV, he's been pretty average. And I think in the big moments at the moment, he's not making the right decisions. And he leads by example, so he's got to take it on the chin.
What would you have done differently today? You said that he hasn't made the right decisions. Just out of curiosity, what would you have done differently today?
With Van Dijk? Or just
with Slot. Like
Slot. I think he just needs to get a bit more quickness in the game. I think it felt to me a little bit too slow. And I know, Kev, you and me were having our debate off shows. We took risks and we got caught on the break. I mean, that's when we were going gun-ho for the last 5 minutes to try and win it. I just felt my big frustration at the moment, and I don't know if this manager can resolve this, is players aren't. I just think we're not clinical enough in our box, and I think there are enough opportunities there that players aren't, finding balls and all that sort of stuff. So, but for me, I just think it all feels just that little yard too slow. Now, how you quicken that up, because you obviously can't make players quicker, it just feels like decision making is a bit low. Again, but is that because we've lost 9 games in 13, 14 that everyone's shit scared of make it passing the ball, which might be a factor. Go on, Ash, I'll let you do your quotes.
Quotes? Okay. Sorry, I was around children for way too long. I shouldn't have said that out loud. Okay. I don't know. Children make you do weird things. All right. Curtis Jones was asked if the performance was better. I think so. Yes, that's been the point of the staff and the team as well. We have asked for more aggressiveness, and we have shown that. Florian Wirtz on his goal actually being an own goal. He says, it doesn't matter. We drew. We wanted to win, but that's what counts today. Florian Wirtz on the season as a whole, he said, I was very welcomed by the team. It's a very good team, and I'm happy to be here. The last weeks have been very difficult, but we are on a good way to come back. We are doing everything to do that. We wanted the win today. We wanted to be on top of the table. We just have to continue to work hard. Hopefully things can change. Arne Slot on the performance said, I think a bit similar to the weekend, a game where we didn't concede a lot. We didn't create a lot. Very unlucky with the goal that we conceded. It was a deflection. I liked our reaction afterwards. On the Chiesa clearance, Slot said, that's what I want a player to do. Just give everything. Regis Labrie
let him go on the pitch for a little bit. Be quite nice.
That would be lovely. I mean, 139 minutes, and he's gotten like 2 winners and a goal line clearance. He's done more than a lot of other players to justify his place. But that being said, Regis Labrie came on afterwards and said, we were a bit surprised to have so much time and space to play, which was interesting. On Sunderland's goal, Slot said, their goal is not even a chance. If that's a chance, we had 20 tonight. When asked if the Anfield fear factor is fading with teams now having more confidence, Slot said, yes, it's clear that teams who play us now think that they can get a result. On Florian Wirtz, he said, I think he did very well against West Ham. And again, today, he was a player who was on the ball a lot. He was very active. Not a surprise that he's active in the goal. And then he finished by saying, this season, far too many times, we don't concede a lot of chances, but a few we do concede, they go in. Unfortunately, we are creating more than a few chances. But the end result has been far too many times that we lose a game of football. We weren't lucky enough to get the win over the line. This game today, we have lost in recent weeks, so it's a positive to take. Before this weekend, we, from open play, created the most chances. That's a nice stat to have. That gives you confidence that goals will come with the talent and quality of the players we have. It's been 14 games, and we haven't scored enough from open play, and we haven't scored enough from set pieces.
That's stating the fucking obvious.
Yeah. I actually think that we are completely dead even goals conceded and goals scored. This year. We have a 21-21 neutral goal difference. Neutral goal difference. Which is pretty telling. Usually when you look at teams, you say, okay, like goal difference is a good indicator.
Do you want to hear another stat that is when you hear a stat you don't think it's true and you have to Google it to make sure it is true?
Sure.
Liverpool
trying to steal my job.
Yeah, it's a bit mad that Liverpool are only 2 points off fourth. I had to fucking check that.
Oh, they are. Yeah, they're 2 points off.
It doesn't feel like it. That's what I mean.
11 points off Arsenal, which is
it
not
doesn't
real.
feel. I don't know why. I think maybe it's because we've had that such that.
It's been that kind of season where almost and look, Leeds Chelsea tonight.
Off anyone.
Leeds Chelsea tonight. Anyone can beat anyone on their day. You don't have an entitlement to 3 points against anyone, home or away. You got to go and get it. You got to go and earn it. And the goal difference is a great analysis of where we are.
Yeah,
we're at 0. Usually when you see a side who consistently get in and around 20 shots a game, if you're conceding half of the amount of shots that you're getting off, so if you're getting 20 shots off and you're conceding less than 10, that's generally a marker where you're going to have a decent season. but finishing wise, we're not at the races. You know, we're
We've
not at the
conceded
races.
more goals than I think every other team in the top 5 European leagues than Wolves.
Yeah.
That's atrocious.
It is, yeah.
There's no way I can sell that to you as a good stat. That's atrocious.
But that's what I mean. It's like the amount of times we've scored 3+ goals this season as well. So it's like it's not a case that we're not scoring. It's just at the minute you're looking at it, and he's almost a case of sending him out. And you could see it in the first half tonight when he is asking Cody to become like a left centre back and Robertson to tuck in as a left centre back when they were having their goal kicks. Because he did it every time.
McAllister was a center back at one point as well.
Yeah. It's like, whatever you do, don't lose. Give yourself a chance to win it in the second half.
And I think that's why their play has slowed down like 15 to 25%. I think everyone is looking at, we talked about it last week with West Ham, where we were like, why aren't they passing faster? And we made the point, like, they just don't want to make the next mistake. They don't want to be the guy that is, Virgil van Dijk is the guy that made that mistake today. And he made the mistake at PSV as well. And as your captain, you don't expect that to happen. But that's what's happening. Every single one of them has that in their mind. I don't want to be the guy that fucks up next.
Look, we're going to wrap it up. Gav's going to be on Patreon in about 10 minutes.
I think I'm going to go on with him just so that...
Yeah.
10:45.
It's 11:45. He's going to be on Patreon. So click on the link if you're not a member already. And you get Gav and Ashley will be on as well, giving their thoughts on with analysis, with video, and talk through what they saw, and just have another look with a bit cooler heads. All right,
we'll be able to actually look at the images. We'll look at
it makes a massive difference when
if there's imbalances, we'll be able to look at Virgil van Dijk's fuck up, like all the things. It's what we love about Patreon. It's
frustrating the YouTube won't let us do it.
Is because YouTube doesn't allow us to have the same amount of clips and things like that. So if you're interested in a more in-depth analysis, like that's really where that app shines. Whether it's, with our post-match or whether it's with, our good process show that we're going to have tomorrow as well. There's 2 shows on tomorrow. So there's basically double the amount of content that we have on our YouTube. We have that on Patreon. So if you're into it, just give it a try.
Chris?
Cool. On that happy note, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you all very soon when Liverpool play again on Saturday, 5:30 away at Leeds.
Everything's going to be fine.
All good, all happy, and we'll all be happy.